Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little bit late because trying to fix this Facebook thing. I'm starting to not like Facebook, but you know, not well friend over here. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for being here. If you're watching live or watching replay, so today we're going to talk about um, um, vitamins, supplements for ADHD because that's a lot of question I saw inside a Facebook group. So again, I'm live over here on Instagram and Facebook, and you can catch the replay afterwards because it's saved in the Facebook page, and I think I should be inside Facebook group as well. But I also will post this video on YouTube. Hopefully, it'll work this week. But don't worry, um, anyway, so um, just let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Tai. I'm a registered dietitian, board certified specialist in pediatric nutrition, and I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And I'm also the author of the book over here. Well, Eat to Focus on both sides. And right now, the book is actually international bestseller. So get your copy. It's on Amazon, and I'll also put a separate link under as well. So before we get started, I just want to talk about a couple opportunity that you can work with me in a group setting. So I'm accepting parents of kids with ADHD who wants to be in a group coaching environment with a supportive community to help you reduce the feeling of overwhelmed being a parent to a kid with special needs, and also the feeling of like feeling bad parents all the time because you're yelling all the time. Because I've experienced that. I always felt like a bad parent when my daughter was growing up, and it's funny. She actually have a image of me as a devil on her phone when I call her. So yeah, but things do get better. I promise you that. And also, because there's a lot of questions about supplements and stuff, so I did create several protocols specifically for kids with ADHD to help them calm down and stay more focused. I have one protocol for adults and one for children. Also have a vitamin protocol for sleeping better and one for anxiety. So these protocols are actually supplements, vitamins and supplements regimen that I created based on the recommendation that I give to my patients every day. So you can find that in the full script, and I'll put the link below, and I'll put that actually after the live section, so you can go through that and look at different kind of supplements and protocols that I recommend. So that way you don't need to search high and low, because that's kind of the question I see a lot of times inside the Facebook group is people asking a lot of questions about supplements, what work and what not. And hi, and I see a lot of that. People are wasting money on a lot of these vitamins that doesn't work. So I've created this protocol with things that I know that it works in the right dose and the right brand. So you don't need to waste your money and waste your time and keep searching and searching for something that doesn't work. So let's get started. So as usual, I usually go before the live, and I apologize being late today because it's a little bit crazy with the Facebook lately. So, okay. Hi. Ground Golf Hawaii. Cool. I like playing golf, but haven't played for a long time. And I suck at golf too. So I just go there to socialize. Okay, let's start with this. Okay, so the question is, if I give my kids these, as in she posted the picture of the Smarty Pants kids formula, the orange bottle ones. Um, do I still need to give them additional vitamin D and zinc supplements too? Since these already have them, and I was reading on good vitamins and supplements for ADHD kids and was making a list, and I completely forgot I have like 4 bottles of these. Okay, so first of all, since you have 4 bottles of this, my recommendation is to actually just finish them all, or if you can return them, because Like generally, I don't like the Smarty Pants supplements. There's for multiple reasons. First of all, I don't prefer any gummy, but if the gummy vitamins is the only things that your kids will take, then that's fine. But generally, anything that is gummy or have sugar in it is going to affect the intestine because the intestine have a lot of bacteria and yeast in it. Anytime you put sugar or any kind of sweet things in it, except a few things, but it's going to affect the gut balance. Especially in kids with ADHD, they tend to have more intestinal disorder or imbalance. So I will avoid anything that have sugar or gummies or things like that. Um, but again, if you have 4 bottles and you can return it, just give it to them. Because the thing is, with a lot of these multivitamins, they're generic, so they're not really for treating anything. And a lot of times, like we need to understand the purpose of a multivitamin. The purpose of a multivitamin is really to make up the gap between what our body needs and what we actually take in. So that's why if you look at a lot of these multivitamins, like the let's see if I can see it. A lot of times, like you'll see the percentages or the value is actually not super like high because the thing is, it's just really to fill up the gap in between. So it is not to correct anything. The like inside my blog on my social media or inside my blog or my book, the amount of vitamins that I recommend is not to meet that gap. The dose that I recommend is to actually correct deficiency, and those are based on studies, based on research and studies that those are the vitamins that tends to be low on kids with ADHD. So the purpose of things that I recommend in here is really to correct nutrient deficiency, not to prevent. So the purpose of a multivitamin, like a generic multivitamin like that, is really to prevent deficiency. And something that a lot of people do not understand or do not realize is that the DRI or the daily recommended daily intake or whatever the government recommendation daily value is, that value is not to correct deficiency. That value is to prevent deficiency. So it's the bare minimum that the human body needs. So if you have someone who have a low iron, low vitamin D, or low magnesium, zinc, taking a generic vitamins is not going to help. Hygiene. Um, yeah, so if you have someone with a deficiency, those things are not going to help. It's kind of like you trying to fill a big bucket with water, but then you using a spoon to scoop put the water a little bit at a time. So it's not going to work. And but again, because these are such generic stuff, they're like candy. Like you can give it to your kids, but if you're really try to help them with like getting better focus, calmer mood, and also better with the like anxiety and stuff, then you need to look into individual vitamins and supplements on the side. And if you've been following this blog for a while, you know that actually, there are first 5 that I recommend. So those 5 supplements are fish oil. Okay, I'm kind of ahead of myself. Fish oil, um, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and a B complex. Or actually, yeah, those are kind of the one. Okay, let me just list out all the ones that I recommend. To I'll start over. Okay, fish oil, magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, iron, and B complex. Okay, B complex and probiotics, 7. So those are the 7 ones that I recommend standard ADHD supplements to start with. And I think some of you will say, "Oh my God, that's like so many pills." Yes, and the reason is when you're correcting a deficiency, you just need to have that much. And usually we get all of those supplements from the food that we eat, but we know that sometimes our kids they're not eating a very well balanced diet. Sometimes we have a picky eater who eats all the processed food, or our kids just gravitate towards all the processed food. So they're eating food but they're not getting nutrients. And when I say nutrients, I'm talking about things like not just carbohydrate, those are easy to get, but things like the right kind of protein, the right protein profile, the omega-3 fatty acids, or the right omega-3 fatty acid concoction, and a ratio. Sorry, I just burped a little bit of my fish oil from this morning, so caught me off guard. Um, okay, fish oil um, composition, like the omega-3, 6, and 9's ratio, and then okay, and then oh, and what was that? So carbohydrate, protein, fats. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of my mind today. Okay, and then vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Those are the oh, and water. Water is a very important nutrient. So yeah, those are the nutrients that the human body needs. But the way we acquire those is very different. So if your kids is eating a lot of the processed food, which we all know processed food have no nutrients in it. So you might get the carbohydrate and the protein, some protein, and then like some a lot of unhealthy fats. So those are things that can mess up the brain and body function. So um, yeah, good. Keep drinking water. Yeah. Um, yeah, so those are the nutrients that the body needs, and we need to make sure that us and our kids get enough of. But we need to find them in the right kind of food, not just any kind of food. And that might be a reason why some of you or even your kids, you'll notice that you tend to crave more food when you're eating a lot of processed food. And processed food, I'm talking about things like oh, yeah, good sleep too. So processed food, I'm talking about things that comes out from a box and from a can and all of those different kind of things. So it's not only because processed food have a lack of nutrients, but processed food also have a lot of junk added to it. So like the junk we're talking about is like man-made stuff, like preservatives, colorings, and whatever thing else that they said to put it in there to prolong shelf life so you save money, right? So you can keep the food on your shelf for like 2, 3, 10 years even. But really, bottom line is that a lot of this food manufacturer is doing that is to keep the shelf life long, not only for your purpose, which they say is for your benefit, but it's for them. Because if the food generally normally have like a life of like say 1 week, but then now they add all this stuff to the food, and now they prolong the life of the food for 2 years. So that means that they have 2 years to sell the food instead of just 2 weeks. So that reduces the waste expenses in waste and give them more profit because they have a longer duration to sell the food. But then the thing is that yeah, we have to think if the food can stay on the shelf forever, like even bacteria and normal circumstances cannot break down the food. Can we really trust that our body can break down that food, right? So in a sense, they really turn the food into some kind of plastic thing that is not even meant to be in the human body. Um, and then here, there's a question. Oh, that's good. Oatmeal is really good for the gut. But I'll talk about the food thing later. But let me finish this question. So yeah, so the answer to that is you can continue to take those gummy vitamins until they're gone if you don't want to waste money, or you can give it away to someone else. But definitely you want to focus on those supplements. So the foods that I recommend right off bat will be without any testing will be omega-3 fatty acid, magnesium, zinc, B complex, and the probiotics. And again, if you go to my supplements protocol for ADHD kids, you'll see all of my recommendation in there. And things like um, iron and vitamin D, I usually do a test before I recommend how much to give. Because with with iron deficiency, um, so sometimes your doctor will only do the hemoglobin and hematocrit or the complete blood count without doing the iron studies or iron profile. When I check iron, it usually based on my assessment of your child or if it's an adult, like I don't just then like randomly just check the iron or the vitamin D. I usually ask them how they sleep, because iron deficiency can actually cause you to not sleep well, very well. A lot of people having a hard time falling asleep. It could be because they're low in iron, because iron is needed to make some of the brain chemicals to actually help you calm down and fall asleep. So usually if someone have like complained that they're tired all the time, they feel dizzy, especially when they get up, like when they get up really fast from sitting down, they kind of black out a little bit, or they have a history of passing out, especially like in teenagers who are kind of like, oh yeah, I want to be a vegan, I want to be a vegetarian, and then they just stop eating, lost a lot of weight, or in girls who have very heavy menstrual period, I would usually check the iron. So what I order is a complete blood count, um, probably without the differential, because I don't really care what the differential is. I just want to know the hemoglobin and hematocrit level and the RBCs. And and then second labs that I do, actually not second, these are labs that I do. Um, an iron profile or iron studies, depending on the place that you work at, they call it differently. But the iron profile, what it shows is it shows all the iron components. So it shows the serum iron, which is the iron that is swimming in the blood. And then it also shows the ferritin. Ferritin is something that I look at, which a lot of doctors don't look at. And also when the doctors look at the ferritin, they're not looking at the numbers correctly. So like for instance, in the hospital that I work at, in the iron profile, in the iron profile, the normal range of ferritin, it was between 4 and 204. And in my mind, I was like, this is crazy. Like the normal range can be between 4 and 204. Then of course I want that number to be closer to the middle, like 100, 200, right? But then a lot of times when when the doctors check that the CBC and the iron profile, and then the iron level, the serum iron's normal, like 50 something, 70s, but then the ferritin's like 20, and they're like, oh yeah, it's normal, nothing's wrong with your child. I was like, no, 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 no. The ferritin is low. So one of the things that most people do not realize is that a low ferritin level is associated, low as in less than 50, not low as in less than 4, according to the lab reference. As a low ferritin level of less than 50, 50 now, is associated with increased risk of restless leg syndrome. So you might not notice that in your child, because you don't, because if when you don't know something, you don't understand something, you don't see it. But like with kids with ADHD, we know they're constantly moving, fidgeting, and stuff, right? So restless leg syndrome is something that is like in adult, they'll describe it by as in like every night when I'm sleeping, I feel like I have to move my leg all the time. So that's how the adult describe the restless leg syndrome. But in children, they don't describe anything to you. When the belly hurts, they don't say anything. They just refuse food, right? Or they just think your food is gross. So in children, they symptoms present differently. So that might explain why. Um, actually, actually, kids with ADHD or kids with restless leg syndrome, a lot of the kids with ADHD also have restless leg syndrome, and kids with restless leg syndrome also have ADHD all the time. So it could be an iron thing. So if you notice that your kids kind of fidget a lot or moving a lot, that might be something to worth. Take a look at is checking the iron level. So it is the ferritin, not the iron itself. Yeah, so those are the things that I look specifically. Sometimes I might look at the total iron binding capacity to make sure that they have enough protein in the body to bind to the iron, to make the iron functional. So so that's iron. And then the other thing that I also check is vitamin D, and also B12. The reason why I check this is because so vitamin D and B12 comes mostly from animal protein. So especially when I see a kid or teenager. Usually it's the teenager who decided to be a vegan or vegetarian. So if that's the case, I'll check those numbers. And then in younger kids, I don't usually check that often. Like really in younger kids, I hardly ever check any labs unless I have a strong feeling that they might be low, and the labs is really to confirm my suspicion. Because like many years ago, I have this kid, like is quite crazy. Like he came in and the mom was like, "Oh yeah, he eats paper. Like he doesn't just tear out a corner of like some paper towels or toilet paper. He actually tear out a piece of paper, like a piece of paper like this from his notebook and start eating like that. Or he'll eat like pencils like this. Like he'll chew off the top and start chewing the whole pencil, eating the pencil. Not just chew on the pencil, he actually eat the wood and swallow it. So yeah, so with that kid, I definitely check his iron level, and of course it is low because all these things like eating paper, eating pencils, um, what else did they eat? Chewing ice, eating dirt. All of those are symptoms, signs and symptoms of pica. So anytime that we have someone comes in eating random food stuff, um, is usually a nutrient deficiency that we suspect. And iron will be the first thing that I'll check. So yeah, so we fixed him. We start him on iron supplement. Actually, with that kid, um, sorry, I sent him to the pediatric gastroenterologist because eating things like this and this can actually block the, yeah, it's actually PICA, pica. Eating things like papers and stuff like this or even dirt and soil can actually block the intestine and cause something called BSOR, which can be quite deadly if not caught. So I sent him to the pediatric GI to make sure that he doesn't have any intestinal damage from eating those things. And I also sent him to the pediatric psychologist as well to kind of um, just to see if there's any behavioral issue associated with him, like why like he's like eating pencils and eating papers, right? So actually the pediatric psychologist did diagnose him with ADHD after that, and it was a funny story, but I think I talked about it last week. But anyway, yeah, so speaking of vitamins, so in this case, yeah, definitely need some extra on the side. So again, vitamin D and the B12 is something that I always check first, um, just to make sure that they have enough, um, because those are some of the ones that is harder to get if your child have a very restrictive diet. So anyway, so let's see next. Oh wait, I think I have. There's some comments. Oh yeah, let me do this too. Omega-3 fatty acid. There's a lot of question about omega-3 fatty acid, so I want to bring out some of these. So like when you go to the store, you'll see like all this fish oil, cod liver oil, fish oil. So how do you know which one is good, right? Because I think that's the confusion all the time. So sorry, my phone is a little bit scratchy because of the weather. Okay, so in the store, I think most people think is that they just kind of do like matching game when it comes to supplements. So when someone say, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for something to help with focus," so they'll just buy any bottle that have the word says focus. So, but anyway, but fish oil is usually the first supplements that I recommend to pretty much all the kids who have a little bit hard time focusing and stuff. And 100% they all come back and say that they start focusing better. But we need to get the right dose. So usually if you're my patient in my office, I'll give you the brand and which one to buy so you don't have to do a guesswork back here. So I'm not saying this is the brand that I recommend. I just want to show you some examples of how to read. So if you read my book, read the article on fish oil, the recommendation for ADHD kids is at least 500 milligrams of the DHA. So out of the fish oil or omega-3 fatty acid, there are different kind of um, different omega-3 fatty acid. The main ones that we're concerned about is the EPA and the DHA. I'm not going to spell out the whole names because it's going to take me a while. But anyway, so we want 500 milligrams a day of the DHA. So if we look at this bottle of cod liver oil is actually a pretty good thing because it has the omega-3 fatty acid and also vitamin A and vitamin D. So it's good place to start with the omegas. But over here, if you look at this bottle, let me see how many. So this is one. Yeah, this one's not gonna cut it. So this one serving is one pill, and it says EPA. Oh, sorry, over here. Let me show it on this side first. Okay, so for one pill of this fish oil, it has 80 milligrams of the EPA and 100 milligrams of the DHA. So for you over here on Facebook, so yeah, one pill, 80 milligrams of uh, DHA. EPA is 80, 100 of the DHA. Okay, so in order, if you're taking these supplements and you're trying to get that 500 milligrams of the DHA, you'll need 5 pills a day. Okay, I don't have a bottle of the Smarty Pants. I just don't want to give them my money. But with the gummies, the Smarty Pants, I think you need like 10, 15, or 20, something like that, to get that same amount. Um, okay, so another one that I like. So if you have a kids who can't swallow pills, this is another one that I really like, and I think I recommended this. And actually, I didn't even finish this whole bottle. I have a little bit left. Okay, I like the lemon flavor because I used to add this to my yogurt or whatever, or even smoothies sometimes add that lemon flavor to it. So, um, okay, so this one teaspoon, which is 5 mLs, you get, okay, I forgot the numbers already. You get 800 milligrams of EPA and 500 milligrams of DHA. So here on, so 1 teaspoon is the serving size, so 5 mLs, 800 milligrams of EPA and 500 milligrams of the DHA. So this is actually a wonderful product because so the DHA actually in research shows that the DHA does help more with the ADHD, the focus, and the calmness. And then the EPA is actually good for mood. So the way that you can remember this is that so you can remember EPA the E for emotions and then DHA the H for hyperactivity, I guess. Yeah. So this is actually a wonderful product, like perfect dose in just 5 mLs. So again, you can mix it in um, mix it into smoothies or yogurt or things like that. And and this is super safe. Like 5 mLs is like the size of one pill. So kind of most fish oil comes in pills like this. So some of you have little kids probably can't swallow a pill like that. But yeah, like I check this thing down. I do instead of 1 teaspoon like for myself, I take like at least let me think 1 tablespoon, so about 3 servings of this a day if I use it on my smoothie. So I don't skim on my vitamins. Um, oh, and then added bonus. So for the fish oil, it's not just good for the focus for the brain. It's actually very good for your hair and the skin. When I used to take like some of you might think that I'm overdosing, but I used to take a very high dose of fish oil, and my hair is like super smooth. But yeah, that's side note. Okay, this is another brand. What's the name of it? Nature's Bounty. So this one I actually get it from Costco because Costco actually sells some really good vitamins there that are super cheap. I don't remember how much I pay for this, but it's a very big bottle, and I take like maybe 2 or 3 of these. Okay, let's see. So this one is really, it's still good, but not as good as the Carlson one. So this one, the serving size also is one pill. And let me see, one pill has EP 647 and 253. Yeah. So um, here, so one pill is 647 of EPA and DHA is 253. So that means that if you need to get that 500 milligrams of DHA, you'll need two of these a day. Okay, so it's not too bad, but I think the best is really the Carson. And actually inside the protocol, the ADHD supplement protocol, the one that I recommend is also from the Carson brand. It's called Fish Oil Q. That's actually the best one. I can't remember the dose, but the dose is good. It meets all the recommendation here. And it also comes with CoQ10, which is an antioxidant that helps with brain function. Um, yeah, so it's called Fish Oil Q. So I'll put that, like I said, I'll have it in the protocol under the comments later. Okay, let's see what else. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, here, I'll just answer this really quickly so I can answer as many questions as possible. So if you were to choose one supplement to try for your child's ADHD to start with, what would be your first to go? The guifazine my son is on just doesn't seem to help anymore, and I'm wondering to try something natural right away because he's having issues in school. So needing to make decision, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm just going to stick to the top. So, um, yeah. Um, okay, which supplement? So in this case, um, the guifazine, I don't remember if it's a stimulant, but a lot of times with the ADHD medication, what it does is it artificially boosts the dopamine level. And sometimes we see that in my work for first couple weeks or first couple of months, and then it stop working. And it is the same with a lot of the antidepressant medication as well. It's the same thing. It works initially, and then it stop working. Excuse me. So, and the reason why is because these medication artificially boost the level, but it is not helping your body to make more. So if say, okay, we'll just keep the numbers low. If say you have 10 molecules of dopamine in your brain, then the medication, what it does, it keeps that 10 molecules keep circulating over and over and over again in your brain, the same 10 molecules. It doesn't make your brain to make more dopamine. That is the reason why people and and adults and kids tends to crave sugary stuff or crave a lot of like starchy things or things that help them boost the dopamine because they can make they they might make a little bit more from some of the food, but so in this case, if the medication was working initially and then it kind of stopped, then my suspicion is that the body probably ran out of dopamine and it's not making more. So one of the supplements that I would recommend in that case is any natural supplements that can help boost your body making more dopamine instead of artificially boosting the level like medication. So the number one supplements that I'll recommend is called Dopa Plus. Um, I'll put the link under. I don't have a bottle to show you. I searched through all my bottles and I can't find it. It's called Dopa Plus, made by Pure Encapsulation. That's one supplements that actually have there's this mucuna. I think that's how you say it, mucuna. This plant or herbs that actually makes dopamine or have dopamine in it, and then they also have like tyrosine in it, which is one of the amino acid that is needed to make dopamine in the body. So the dopamine and some of these brain chemicals are actually made from let's see, tyrosine, and tryptophan and phenylalanine. So those are the three amino acids that your body uses to make dopamine. So Dopa Plus is the supplements that I recommend for this question. So I might go back to answer in the blog. And there are all these other recommendations. And I'm actually absolutely against what's that CBD because it does cause brain damage. Like, come on now, look at all the drug addicts out there. So it was illegal for a very good reason. Not gonna answer that. Yeah, so that will be something that I recommend the first. Okay, let's see. Let's answer one more question. I think there's a question that I want to answer. Okay, maybe this is, okay, here. I posted a couple weeks ago about my struggle with anxiety and depression since stopping my stimulant cold turkey. Well, since then, my doctor put me on Zoloft after 5 days. The side effects just amplify my anxiety and panic. Yeah, medication doesn't work. She wants to switch me to Lexapro, but I'm hesitant to take this because of the reaction I had from other SSRI. I would rather get my hormones tested, but don't really know how to go about and who to reach out to. Can you point me in the right direction? Okay, not sure why she's talking about her hormones suddenly, but I'll answer the part about the antidepressant. So antidepressant, most of the common antidepressant is what we call SSRI, um, serotonin reuptake inhibitor. I forgot what the first S stands for, but basically it's just very similar to the ADHD medication. It keeps that 10 serotonin molecule keep circulating and circulating and circulating until eventually you get used up, you get zero serotonin. Okay, so in this case, um, there are many things that we can use. There's supplements, but then there's also anytime someone dealing with anxiety and depression, I kind of um, don't just say, hey, take these vitamins or stop eating this food and that food, right? But I also would look at like and around what's going on in your life because the anxiety and depression, like in the when your doctor tells you or whatever things that you read from conventional medicine is like anxiety and depression just happen. It's almost like you win the lottery and then it just happened to you, but it's not. Something always happened that caused the anxiety and depression. And the anxiety could also be some kind of childhood programming where you're always living in fear that you're always living in fear, always having to watch out for for things going wrong. Um, and that's something I learned when I was training as a hypnotherapist is that growing up in an unstable household or growing up in a household where parents always fighting and arguing or constantly being being blamed for things or told that you're not good enough, like especially with Asian, like we grow like with expectations that we have to always get A's. Like in my case, like even when I get 100 on my test, it's still not good enough. So things like that can actually add up to all that anxiety. So I would definitely look um, around your environment because there might be something triggering the anxiety and also depression could be because you're stuck in a situation that you don't feel happy with, like you're stuck in a job that you hate or stuck in a relationship or abusive relationship that you felt like you have no way out, feeling helpless and hopeless. So those are things that I'll look into. But supplements and eating can help reduce some of the symptoms and make you a bit more resilient. So, like I said, I do have a protocol, supplement protocol that involves St. John's wort, which is one of the herbal supplements that is very well studied for anxiety and depression. So you can look into that. Fish oil, again, is a very good supplement for people dealing with anxiety and depression. And then a bunch of other things like magnesium as well, because magnesium can actually help relax the muscle. So the magnesium is involved in like 300 different biochemical reaction in the body. So in that protocol, or to treat something like anxiety and depression, I would use the St. John's wort, magnesium, fish oil, omega-3 fatty acid fish oil, and then some other calming herbs like the ashwagandha. I think I might have pronounced it correctly or mispronounced it. Ashwagandha, rosacea, roseola. I think it's rhodiola, rhodiola, and let me think what else. Yeah, those are some of the ones. No, Valeria, and lemon balm, those kind of all the calming stuff. Because the thing is, even though all those crazy thoughts is up in here, the depressive thoughts, hopeless, helpless feeling stuff is up here. Actually, we feel our feelings in our heart. But those herbs can actually help calm you down and then calm your body down. Then when your body actually relax and calm down, it feeds into the brain that hey, everything is okay. Because usually anxiety is more associated with like thinking that or expecting something bad is gonna happen, right? So that's more the anxiety is expecting. And if you look more into the anxiety, a lot of those crazy thoughts are thoughts that we make up in our own brain, like, oh my god, like this person don't like me, like like my my friend is really funny. Like if he finds out at his job his team has a meeting without him, he freaks out. It's like, how come they didn't invite me to this meeting? Blah 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 blah. So for him, it's like he felt like they didn't like him or they purposely um, um, separate him out from the meeting. So that's the story he creates in his head, right? And then later when he talked to the boss was like, oh yeah, we're just talking about this. We don't want to waste your time, so that's why we didn't invite you, right? Or sometimes he have a lot of business meetings with like different hotels and stuff. And then actually this happened just last week. I just thought it was funny. Like this last week he's supposed to have a lunch meeting with one of the general manager and then he went to the restaurant and the person didn't show up and he get all upset. He called me, I'm so upset, this person stood me up, blah blah blah. So I was like, why are you so upset? Maybe they really forgot. Because he did call the person and the person did answer his phone call and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got like caught up in the hotel. I'm really sorry. How about I call you later and then we'll reschedule the appointment? But he still gets so upset. I was like, look, how many times you have forgot to show up to your meetings at work, right? He like seriously, he'll forget to show up to his the meetings that he was actually invited to and expected to be at his work. But I was like, but your boss didn't get upset with you, right? And you didn't show up not because you intentionally like didn't show up. You really like just forget about that. So why when other people not show up to your meeting you get so upset? It's almost like you have double standard. So he's like, oh well, I guess, yeah. And then he calms down because he realized that he's just creating the story in his own head and causing all that anxiety and anger. So then he ended up just eating lunch by himself, but it was a good restaurant, so it's worth it. um anyway, so yeah, if you're interested, like I said, I'll put all of those information down at the bottom. And let's see, yeah, so that's it. And then I'll probably spend some time answering some questions inside the Facebook group. But if you have any other like burning question, just post it below. I'll try answering as well. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. And again, I'm accepting um, members to the new group, the better parents, being a better parents to your kids with ADHD inside the Facebook group, or actually we'll probably keep the group really small, just 10 people at a time so everyone got a chance to get attention. And I'm also going to put in the protocol for ADHD for kids and adults, and then the sleep protocol, and also the one for anxiety and depression protocol in the comments. And for those of you on Instagram, you'll find those links in the link through my bio. Okay? All right. Thank you very much, everyone. You all have a very good day, and I love seeing you all here. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Okay? Bye. See you next week.